And we're back. We try to bring things to the stream
Guanaloco on Twitch, check the link in the description.
that are different, you know? And one thing we haven't seen on literally anybody else's stream is our little lower thirds, what we call pop-up promos.
We use them to advertise upcoming events, new additions to the stream, projects, both real and fake, that sort of thing.
And we have to think that the reason that nobody else is doing this is not because they're stupid.
Because they're not stupid, right?
But because nobody else knows how to do that. So we're gonna fix that for you today. Welcome to Let's Do the Thing.
Get a little of this guy.
Welcome to Let's Do the Thing? Is it Let's Do the Thing now?
Hey,
Yeah.
time to do the thing. Do the thing.
Doing the thing.
So this one's pretty neat because it's the first and maybe last one of these will hit all the film edit stream beats of our board meeting show.
You are gonna need a green screen for the filming and a program to edit the video in, obviously.
Duh.
And some way to stream from,
What are you even doing here?
which we use Streamlabs. But it's honestly pretty easy. So I guess let's get filming. We're shooting the green screen bits, right? You look so cool. Number one important part, shooting the green screen. Okay, first off, you got the setup. There's a ton of videos out there. I'll link a few about setting up, so I'm not gonna get into it. But the main thing, you want to like evenly lit, specifically the green screen. Like we're still getting a little bit of shadows, but frankly, we're not really working with a ton here. So like, we do what we can. Main thing we're trying to keep in mind filming this is to like, keep in mind the framing of the little pop-up. The promo, what are we calling these?
Promo.
All right, the framing of the promo when you're shooting it. Number one, depending on what kind of green screen you got available to us, which we're currently working with one that's frankly, it's not that big. You see over on the little sides, there's just like space. We can mask around them on the green screen, but if they go outside the green screen, we lose the transparency and there's gonna be a real unnatural looking line. So like, yeah, if we shot it, boom, we're cutting a whole shoulder off and that's gonna look really weird. Also, ours, we use a banner popping up that cuts you off kind of like right under the chest. So honestly, I always find it easier if we just frame it that way. So like the bottom of the frame is where the banner is gonna be. So it takes less like maneuvering. But really that's just so I can drag and drop it because I'm lazy. But you know, if you're gonna want something where like somebody's standing or like walking in or something like that, you gotta make sure that you have the full image ready to go when you film it, because otherwise it's gonna be all cut off and weird. And you don't want that. Lastly, we just gotta remember the duration, because as they're probably already feeling, since I'm just standing here talking to this camera while they're just chilling, it's like weird to film a promo, kind of. Because generally they're silent, so it's not like they have anything to say. And unless you have like a fun skit or something in mind, you're just like sitting there. So that can kind of seem like time's moving pretty slow, but you got to make sure that you have enough footage to cover however long you want the promo to be. So our promos are standard, or generally like 10 seconds, sometimes a little longer, but rarely, if avoidable, less than that. So whatever they do, you got to make sure you get good, like 10 good seconds of it. And then once you got all that, you do the editing part, which might be a transition. All right, so now that we've got our promos all shut up, throw it onto the PC and get editing. I'm using Premiere for this, but I'm pretty sure you can probably do this on any editing suite. First things first, we need to cut this green background out. I'm not gonna tell you how to do this because a quick Google search will land you literally hundreds of videos explaining how to chroma key. All of which can pretty much explain how to do it better than me. The process I use, I got from a video that I'll link in the description below. It involves sending it over to After Effects, and it's super easy. If you have After Effects, I highly recommend it. So, now that we've got our cutout green screen, we can start to turn it into a nice pop-up. From here, I'm gonna be throwing out a bunch of specifics, but that's really just how we do it. All of that's going to be left to your own personal preferences. The only two things you need to worry about is length and size, because you want it to be long enough so that people can take in the information being given, but not so long that it's distracting. You want it to be big enough that people notice it, but not so big that it's obnoxious. I'm also going to be going kind of quick, but again, the method is more important than the specifics. That being said, if you do like our promos, I will be including a link where you can download the video preset and graphics template that we use for these. They're both fully editable. Anyway, I like to start with the graphic, or I guess more specifically the banner portion of this, because I can kind of use that as a template to size and animate my actual video. So I'm going to throw in our template, but I will go through these kind of step by step, so if you're making it from scratch, you can kind of follow the steps. So first things first, we start with the shape itself that will be the banner. Pretty much just make yourself a rectangle using, add new rectangle, size up your rectangle however you want it, put it however you want it. Now that we've got it, first things I like to go ahead and color it. For this specific graphic, I'm going to use the Windows application Snip Paste to take the hex codes off of the Red Dead Redemption promotional images, because that's actually the game being played in the part of the stream that's being advertised here. So let me pull that up. Okay, so I'm going to take this red and this orange. I like taking two colors, one darker, one brighter, because that way you can use the darker for like backgrounds, stuff like that. You can use the brighter for outlines or text, things of that nature. I'm gonna change my fill to that red. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and change the stroke, which is the outline of the shape, to the orange. So now we've got something that looks like that, which isn't bad. Okay, so I've got my shape, it's all colored. Now I'm gonna use the motion graphics to shift it in from the side. So here I've set a key point here to put it right off frame, and then a key point here a few seconds later where I've eased this in to getting to its final placement. So this fades in, and then after everything happens, it slides back off. So we've got our template in place. Now we've got the title, and we've got the description that goes under it. Now for both of these, instead of having them slide in, I have them fade in. So I take the opacity from 0, and in 10 frames, I have them fade in. All the slides, the fades, any kind of the animation, I always make sure to ease in when it's coming in, and then when it's on its way out, ease back out on the way out. It just makes for a smoother overall look. So I have the main title come in 10 seconds, or in 10 frames, and then 20 frames after that, I have the secondary information fade in 10 frames as well. So we get a slide in, we get the title, and then we get the subtitle. For this one specifically, I'm going to change neighbor boy to our specific project. So GLL, I say morning with an apostrophe. That seems like fun. Going to change the font. Font's important. I feel like a lot of people sleep on font. But it's important to have a good font that fits whatever it is you're doing. So I went through, Adobe's got a nice little font catalog that you can use if you're subscribed to the Adobe suite. So I went through earlier today and found a good font that fit what we're doing here. And that is big. So I'm gonna need to shrink this way down. I'll be honest with you, this might be a problem. This is a problem. See, this font's too wide. In order to make it big enough to where you could easily read it, it would become so big that it's obnoxious, which I already said is something you don't want to do. Okay, so that could have been a problem, but all it needs is some new font. Just gonna change it really quick to this fun font. And we got this cute little lasso font. That'll get the people going. Gonna size it up right with the logo, because I want to get as big as I can without being crowded. Underneath, we've got the little subtitle part. Let's see, since this is a morning show, I'm gonna call it Start Your Day Off Rat. Cool. Now we go into coloring. I like leaving the plain bottom text white because there's nothing special about it, so we just leave that there. But this top text, we're going to use those colors we took from earlier, right? Make that bright and orange. Let's see how this works. I think that looks all right. I do think the font underneath it, because this is such a thin font, probably have a little less weight to it. Okay, I changed my mind. Instead of making it thinner, I'm just gonna make the font smaller. So now the last thing we need to do is put our picture. Usually we run it with the GCA logo, but since this is stream specific, I'm gonna throw the Guano Loco Lobo, Gron the Unmade in there. And I'm going to use the other logo as kind of a template. Now, since we've changed the logo, we're gonna need to copy the keyframes from this logo. So here is where this starts off. So I'm gonna drop the opacity here to 0. This is where it fades in. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna ease it in because that makes it nice and smooth. I'm gonna go over here to this, add another keyframe, ease that guy out. I'm gonna go here, and this is where I drop the opacity once more. So, having copied that, our final thing looks like this. Not bad. Now we need the video to go behind it. So, we know this is gonna be 10 seconds. You can use this to kind of block out a 10-second chunk, because you know, okay, here's 10 seconds. Here's another 10 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna play through the video to try to find my 10-second bit. I will say it's kind of having to chug along a little bit because of all the things we did to this. So, to make it a little smoother, I'm gonna render this, which may take a minute, but like old school Food Network shows, I'll just skip ahead. Alright, so that's all rendered. We're gonna get through this, guys. I've probably said that this is all like easy or quick or whatever, and like it's not hard, but you should know anytime you're doing anything like this, as far as editing video or something like that, you're gonna have to play with it some. So just like never expect it to just like happen, right? Where were we? I've got my now rendered green screen footage, and we're just gonna scrub through here. See, that one's not gonna work because he went outside of the frame. Yeah, so I'm gonna do this one. So I'm gonna find where it starts. There's my 10 seconds. Stick it through there. Let's just let it play. Okay, so this is definitely longer than 10 seconds, so I changed my mind. Instead of using the beginning point, I'm gonna use the end point. I adjusted it over, and now it looks like this. I think that'll do. So, to make our cuts, we've got our clip. I'm gonna come over here and throw it under everything. So, now's where another preset, which is hopefully in the description, comes in. So, I've got it saved over here. Throw it on this guy. So now we've shrunken him, and we moved it under here, which is more or less the correct size for the thing. I might adjust that a little bit. As the banner cuts in, the clip hops up, gets big, and then at the end, hops back out. Son of a... Okay, to really be able to show this, I'm gonna need to render it again, but for now, I'm just gonna worry about the sizing and positioning, because that's the main thing you gotta adjust when using presets like this. Or if you're doing it from scratch. first place you want to start is making sure the sizing and positioning is right. So like that looks okay, but I think it could be a little bigger. I'm gonna go to this point. This is my in point where it zooms in. I'm gonna say, let's go 626, right? That looks pretty good. So I'm gonna have to adjust that over here too, because otherwise it'll just be slowly getting smaller. And then let's look at positioning. So that can definitely, I'm gonna say that can definitely move over a little bit. So we're kind of centered. And I'm gonna bring it up because like I said, when we were filming it, I went ahead and filmed it so that the cutoff point of the bottom of the frame was a good cutoff point for the clip itself. So I'm not gonna quite line it up. I'm gonna go a little below it just to make sure we're good and covered. But I think that should do. So we got 460 by 1540. So we go to this other one, say 460 by 1540. So now the size is gonna stay consistent, and where it comes up from looks just fine. We scale it down to 0 in 15 frames, which we shot this at 30 FPS because it works a little nicer with the 60 FPS of the stream. So in half a second, 15 frames. We shrink it down to 0, and I also just move it down so that as it shrinks, because it shrinks from the middle, so without the position changing, it would just get small, but then it would be like coming out of a black hole above the banner as it pops in. See how it does like that? That's awkward. So instead I move it down into the banner. So where it's coming from is actually being covered up from the banner. Same thing with this guy. So with the preset, that's how that looks. All right, so now that it's rendered, we can see it looks like great. Who wouldn't want that just popping up randomly? Now that we have all that set up, all we're gonna do is export it, but we need to export it with a transparent background so we can stick it as an overlay over the stream. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can do some Googling if you don't want to do it this way, but the way that seems to work best for us and for Streamlabs specifically is to export it as a QuickTime animation file. So we're just gonna run through that real quick. So first things first, we're gonna go down to QuickTime. We're gonna unclick this export audio button because we don't need audio, we just need video. Down here, we're gonna go under video codec. We're gonna choose animation. Size, we filmed this in 4K because we film everything in 4K because we just overkill stuff. But we don't need it in 4K, so I'm gonna bump that back down to 1080. So it's 1920 by 1080, that seems. And then the most important thing, in order to get it with a transparent background, is down here under depth, which is the very bottom of the basic video settings section. You want to hit 8 BPC plus alpha. The plus alpha will create an alpha channel, which means all the black background where there's not a video, where we've removed the background through the green screen, that'll be transparent. Because if you don't click this and just leave it on 8-BPC, the video will just have a black background. And then you can't put that over the stream because that's ridiculous. So yeah, now that we've selected that, we've named it, we've got all our settings set up, just gonna export. But when I'm doing these specifically, I like to select import into project. That way, as soon as it's exported, I can go ahead and throw it over a normal video and make sure the transparent background worked. All right, so now we've got this lovely fella. Oh, look at that, it's so good. Oh God, he's gonna kill me. Oh no, oh no. And then they disappear. God knows what he did with him. Boom, look at that. Now imagine this is a stream, you know? Beautiful. All right, so now we've got it all exported. We've got a nice little promo ready to go. So we're gonna send it over to our slobs whiz. God, that's disgusting. We're gonna Ryan.
Gee, thanks, handsome. So now coming over from him, I'm going to show you how to implement the promo that we filmed. It's a pretty pretty easy. Here's what you got to do first. This is what's going to contain all of our promos. I have a promos box in each of the windows that I want the promos to be able to show up in. Out of necessity, of course. It also helps with the Stream Deck implementations, which I'll show you in a minute. But you just add a group. I'm going to call it Promos 2. Boom. Promos 2. That's where your promos will live. And you see each one of them is just a media source. So that's real easy to do. You already know how to do that from the BRB video. Because you paid attention. So you're going to want your promos folder pasted above everything else in your window. I have this game capture folder, or this game capture image here, left over from a joke. You see it's muted out. Or blinded out. I just leave it in there so I can turn it back on periodically. So pretend like it's not there. I'll show you a straight up one. We'll go to auto cap real quick. This is auto capture, is what I use for games that don't have like a specific window capture thing that they need, like Siege and Sea of Thieves does. You take that folder and you put it at the top, because every time you run a promo, you want it to run over top of the image and anything else that might be showing up, you know, so that it looks kind of like big time television. Once you've created your new group with your group button and put it on top of all your other sources, you're going to add this stuff. So we're going to switch back to the other one, so I can show you in this thing. What we're going to do is we're going to add that promo that I just showed you. So when you add your media source, and you add your, this is my naming convention, promo, KBB, KB, and GLL. Boom. Add source. So once you've had it added, you'll remember this from the BRB screens. It's exactly the same thing that's happening for the most part. Browse, plug this in. Now there it is. You're going to want to restart playback when the source becomes active, obviously, otherwise you don't get that little slide out effect like we're seeing. So I killed it, and it restarts. So that'll help with the Stream Deck application of it. And then show nothing when playback ends. Easy. And the rest of it's done already. So now you have a promo added. And that's easy. The only catch with these is it has to be added to each scene, which is where this group comes in handy. But having them in this group makes it really easy to copy and then take them to, say I wanted an auto capture. Now you can paste your whole group right there. Easy, easy. Actually, that didn't seem to work out right, did it? Must just be because I don't have but one in there, huh? There we go. Worked that time. Let's do that again. So you're going to want to take your promo, the whole group, right? Like this is with all of them. Copy that. Go to whichever scene you're adding it to next. Say auto cap. And then Control V it. Now you have all the same promos with all the same rules applying now inside of this thing. Now that's how you get it implemented in Streamlabs itself. It's fairly easy. I'll show you how to make the Stream Deck run them for you. So we have our promo section here. See what I remember I said? Each scene has its own set of promos. They have to be activated specifically for that scene or they won't work. And you can't do them both or 3 at the same time, so I have subsections. AutoCap covers a lot, but then of course you have a couple games that just don't work with AutoCap. So, here's the list. Let's take a look at the first one. Easy. You remember how we did it with the BRBs? You activate the promo. Remember which section you're in. So this is the AutoCap. Again. Stream Deck source. Activate auto capture. It's important to make sure you set it to the right scene, whichever one you want it to be running on, and then pick the right one out of the list. Okay. There you go. And the Stream Deck delay, always 10,000 milliseconds because, you guessed it, it's only 10 seconds long. And then in the end, deactivate. Resets the promo, lets you play it again after the multi-action's done, like immediately if you want. And then deactivates it. I think that's it. But yeah, for every scene that's added to, you have to do that again. And not only that, See how this one's set to auto capture. I don't even think I have those added to Siege or anything yet. Yeah. So now it's set to Siege. Also important. Naming conventions, very important. Name everything, because these are going to get really complicated and really confusing really fast the more of these you add. Be disciplined and focused. Focused. And that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe. Get out there, do the thing. Come watch my Twitch channel, twitchtv.com/guanolocolobo.com. And that's a video on how to do promos. Because you want to do them. Because they're cool. Like us here at the complex are cool. Those are cool. Did I forget to say anything? Ring a bell? Subscribe? See you next time when we do another The Thing. And we do a thing again. Do anything. Tyler Detective will do anything. Once.